How you doing?
Hi.
Good
Hi,
to,
Anna.
good to have you here, Amanda. And thank you for being here and saying yes to this like flow flowish chat. I will say that. I want to go over with you and like we've been friends for a little bit over a year, right?
Yeah,
And I kind of want,
almost 2 years now.
yeah, yeah, it's gonna be, yeah. So I kind of want to go over our story, like how we met and what was your perspective? Like, what do you see on your end and what did I saw on my end
Yeah.
when we met? Uh, so,
Um, so I've been doing yoga for um probably the better part of the last 15 years, like pretty consecutively, maybe with a few gaps when I had Mason and Nathan. Um, but I think yoga was always a time for me to just like take time to like breathe, separate myself from the world. I typically didn't really talk to anyone in yoga. I would usually just kind of go there, lay on my mat, meditate, and like when class is over, I would just get up and leave. Um, and I know I've like told you this before, but I don't know what it was. The day that we were in yoga together, I think you were practicing right next to me, I think. Do you remember? I don't know if you were practicing right next to me because I feel like we turned and we just started talking.
yes,
Um,
I was next to you, and on the other side, it was the lady that so it's funny because I went to that was my first time that I went to that specific class. And it was because the lady that was on in the other side. So I think you were in my left side, and the
yeah.
lady that was on my right side, she
Hmm.
was the day before doing yoga in the class that I was taking, and she said, "Are you coming tomorrow?" From nowhere. I was not a friend of her or anything. She just said, "Are you coming tomorrow?" And I said,
Yeah.
"No, I don't think so." And she's like, "Oh, tomorrow is this class with this teacher. Have you tried him?"
Hmm.
And I'm like, "No." It's like, "Oh, it's great." And then when she said that, I was like, I started thinking about, and then I was like, okay, in the afternoon, I'm like, I'm going tomorrow to that class. So
Yeah.
that's the reason why I was there. So the lady was on my right, and you were on my left.
Oh wow. I didn't know that. Yeah, that's all. Now that's even more strange. Um, yeah, and so I think so after the class, you and I just started talking and then we kind of like wrapped I don't there was just like this energy from you. Like I felt like a magnetic pull almost. You just had like such a like welcoming, like warm I don't know. It was weird. I normally never talk to anyone, and for some reason, I just started talking to you, and then all of a sudden, we were like talking with our mats, and then we were out in the parking lot, and we ended up talking for like I don't know an hour
Yeah.
about life and about everything, and um, I typically don't open up to people, but I think just the way you ask questions and how intuitive you are, and just like how supportive you are, it makes it really easy to just talk to you. And then we've just been friends ever since.
Yes. Which and it's the same on my end. Like I have practiced yoga for the past 7 years, I will say.
Mhm.
And I have met people like in class, like hi, bye, or like something like that, but it doesn't like it ends there, you know? And
Yeah.
if you see it again in another class, it's you say hello, but that's it. It's not like, oh, okay, we're gonna meet after class or we're gonna do something outside the yoga class. It's not like that, or it haven't been. And
Mhm.
then yeah, that day it was just I think you start talking to me and I I am not like somebody that starts conversation. Like if I
Yeah.
don't know, I'm not the typical person that I'm like, "Hi, how you doing?"
Yeah.
Um, I guess I was not like that.
Yeah.
Now I'm more comfortable with that, like starting a conversation or
Yeah.
smiling to see if the person say hello. um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you kind of start the conversation and I just flow with it. And then when we went outside and we talked in the parking lot for an hour, like I enjoyed talking. And especially if the person like start being so open or it's a topic that I know it's important, that for
Yeah,
me, it's like, oh, I want to be here. Like for me, it's like it's a privilege. It's like, oh
yeah,
wow, this person wants to share this with me. So I really, really feel like honor that when somebody that I just met or even my own family call me or look for me to share something that could be special or difficult or so personal.
yeah. I mean, um, gosh, I mean, that conversation, I think we kind of went over everything that I was going through at that time, which was the beginning of the beginning of a separation, with a long-term partner, and family was involved, and finances and businesses, and really challenging chapter in my life. And I feel like the universe just sent you to me to help, or for us to help each other. And it's been such a powerful force in my life just to have, like, I think you and your support through the entire process has been so phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah, it's been also amazing to have you in my journey. Um,
Yeah.
and it's like people say it's coincidence, but I I call them magical moments. Like these are like magical, like are magical moments where the universe just put people that you're meant to align and
Hmm.
share things and help out each other in their journey, right?
Yeah.
That's how I see it. Like it's very, and you just grow that those relationships, friendships, whatever, like business partners, like you just grow them because they align with you.
Yeah. 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 Because when I met you were still doing the project management stuff. Um, really, really like going hard with that, a lot of projects, keeping you really busy. Um, which is probably a huge shift from the field that you're in now, right? Like, what do you think, like, how do you think you got there? Like, what do you think was like the defining moment, right? Where you were like, okay, because when I met you, you were doing project management, you have an engineer degree,
Architecture.
architecture, I was the engineer, architect degree. And so, I mean, obviously in project management, you're still building relationships, but probably on a different level, not as personal as this. Did you know, like, before, like, when you were doing architect stuff, did you have like this intuition about yourself that you knew, or?
That's a great question. So I was, this is a question that I actually somebody asked me 2 days ago.
Yeah,
Um, my intuition did know that I wanted something different that what I was doing, the project manager, and my intuition knew it since I probably was doing my internship when I was in college. Like
yeah,
I felt since I was doing the internship,
yeah,
I felt like maybe after 4 or 5 months, I was like, this is pretty cool. Like doing construction management is like, this is pretty cool.
yeah,
But since that moment, I was like, but I don't see my life doing this forever. So it's kind
yeah,
of like those things that today I'm
yeah,
like, huh, I guess I
right.
do it. But you don't pay attention to it. Or more than you don't pay attention. I was just graduating from a 5 year degree, a lot of time that I put in. My parents paid for my college. So it was like,
Mhm.
how are you gonna say now? No, I don't like it. Or yeah, I don't see my life forever doing this. So you're like,
Right.
I'm here,
Yeah,
I enjoy it. Let's do it, let's try it.
yeah,
So I think my intuition did tell me like a long time ago. And then the point where I really knew more through my like rational mind, right? Like being
hmm,
like more. thoughtful was
Yeah.
um around 2017. So we're gonna say 7 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, seven
Yeah.
years ago, I went through a divorce. And when I went
Yeah.
through a divorce, there was a lot of that opened a lot of things inside of me. So it was not just going through the divorce, it was also going through what's going on with Anna.
Yeah.
And when
Very
I
similar. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Hmm.
and when I start digging in that, I find out that yes, I was doing the career that I went to school for and that
Hmm.
I kind of put a lot of years and effort to be there. So I was happy that I was doing it, but it was not fulfilling me. Like I was
Yeah.
not 100% like, wow, I'm like, I felt that I achieved what I wanted by that time. Because I was living in New York and I was working for a big company building bridges, tunnels, like roadways, like big projects, which is something
Yeah.
that you're like, wow, that's amazing, which I felt like that. I'm like, this is amazing. However, it was not 100% fulfilling me. So
Yeah.
in that moment is when I start like understanding that yes, I like what I do as a project manager, and it and the growth and the change of different projects kind of helped
Hmm.
me out to fulfill my wanted to grow, my wanted to help, right?
Hmm.
But it was not fulfilling.
Yeah.
So since that moment, I started learning more about personal growth, emotional intelligence, like reading books, going to seminars, and that kind of like what I would say is when I start my career as understanding my being, what is going on inside of Anna.
That's a really good way to put it. Like your career of loving, like learning yourself.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Really, really taking the time to learning who am I and what do I really want and like, and not what maybe my parents told me what I should
Hmm.
like, which
Yeah.
honestly, that's what I was doing. Like going to
Yeah.
university, going for that career was part of like my parents told me, hey, this is what you have to do. And I did
Yeah.
it. It was great. Like I don't have any regrets. And then now, there's a moment that I'm like, well, it's time to put it in practice. I already went to school.
Yeah.
Like when you go to school, you go for 4 or 5 years, and then you're like, okay, you're ready to go to work. Go put it
Yeah.
in practice.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So now I am um that's I think that's what happened. And then I'm like, there's a moment that I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna do
Yeah.
it. I'm gonna put it in practice and I'm gonna go out and do it myself. Like I wanna build my own business. I wanna build and I said I'm gonna build my like building my own business, which I see it more as a mission. This for me
Yeah.
is a mission because it
Yeah.
fulfills really my soul. So
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think there's anyone else that I would go to and like talk to or open up with. I just feel like it's your calling in life. You just have like this, I don't know. Yeah, you can see it, right? Like whenever we talk or whenever we catch up, it's not just like talking, it's like truly connecting, right? Like I feel like you have like this power to connect with people, not just like talk, right? You can talk to someone in the grocery store, you can talk to someone at the gas station, but to like genuinely connect with someone where like you feel heard, you feel like they understand you, but you also feel like they can help you. I just feel like that's so rare. Like I've had lifelong friends that I've known for 25 years that I still don't have that capacity to do with. Um, I just feel like you're also like a lot of the things that you've been through in your life. I think, when I came to you in the midst of my divorce, you had already been through divorce. So like you were able to really coach and guide me, I think, through a lot of things that I didn't even know was like happening. Um, and I think a lot of your other life experiences too are obviously really helpful now. Um, when you're like meeting new people and like reading my cards, and you have to do my Reiki. We haven't done that yet, but you have to do that for me. I can't wait. Are you in the studio, or are you in a studio, or you're doing it like you're coming to like my house or people's houses for the
So
Reiki?
right now I am doing therapy. I do it, I have a lot of long distance.
Mhm.
So I do it virtual,
Yeah,
right? So if the person is not in Austin or around Austin, we do Zoom calls.
yeah,
And all of the therapists that I do and all of the coaching that I do can be done like I do it virtually.
yeah,
And if you're in Austin like you, yes, I have an office that we go, like I meet with people there,
yeah.
and
That's
we have
awesome.
any of the services that I provide, we go there.
That's awesome. Awesome. I gotta go check that out.
Yeah. Um, I want to ask you,
Yeah,
um, what I know that you like something that I admire from you since I met you is how extrovert you are, right? Like you're very
yeah,
extrovert, spontaneous, not afraid to ask, talk, or like make the first move, which
yeah.
I admire that from you. Um,
Hmm.
because I feel that is necessary, not all the time, but it is it's it's a good thing to have, right?
Yeah,
Um, and I guess this is something that you have helped me out to be more like in the process of having this mission. How can I be louder? How can
yeah,
I make that first step? Like, right? Instead of like waiting, just
yeah.
take that
You
first
have
step.
such a gift. Like scream it from the mountaintops.
Yes. So, what is your favorite thing working? Because you are like in sales, right?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah,
what is
yeah,
your favorite thing working about working in sales?
yeah. Um, so that's a really good question. So I think part of my personality has always been like a leader. I've always had that leadership personality. And so any roles I've been in my career have always ended up in, like, have always transpired or been promoted up to like a leadership role. And so when I got into real estate, which was really probably one of my most forward sales roles, I think it was an opportunity for me to really be as open as I could. I was more private on like social media and things like that before I started in real estate. But I think it was just like a band-aid that I ripped off. Like when I really started sales, like I was always outgoing and like I could always like just start a conversation with people, but I think I really got better at it when I started in sales. And um I think you just find a way to talk to people. You just find a way to connect with people. Um, even if it's just like a smile at first, and then um I don't know, I love talking to people, like being out in like public and going to like community events. Those energize me. I like learning about people. I like learning about, what they do or how they do or what they've been through. And so I think sales gives you that opportunity. When you work in sales, building relationships is really the most important part of your business. It's not always about knowing, um, you know, every product line or knowing what every house is for sale on every block. It's really about building a relationship with your client and figuring out what it is that they need and want, because it might be more important for them to have something very specific for a family member than money, right? Or how much the house costs. And another client, it might be, finances is all that they care about. They don't care if the rooms are all together. Um, and I think in sales, especially in real estate, it's really an emotional process for people. I didn't know it was so emotional, until I really started, like, working with people, and I realized that sometimes the hurdles that they needed to jump to make a move to really purchase a house was, like, trauma from 3 generations ago. I mean, I had clients tell me, like, um one client, she was amazing, she became one of my good friends. We'd go out to dinner together when she came into town. She had her daughter was in New York, and she had now a grandbaby that she wanted to spend more time with. So, but she was also taking care of her parents in another state, and so I knew that her moving to where we were was gonna be a little bit of a challenge because she needed to move away from her elderly parents. And so that was a bond and a separation that I think she wanted, but she thought she was mentally prepared for it. And we built the condo, built the townhouse. She never moved any furniture in. She ended up reselling it with me. She called me about 2 or 3 months after she closed on it, and she said, "Amanda, I haven't even moved any furniture in. I can't do it. I need to sell. I cannot move away from my parents." And so I think even through the conversations and through the process, you are helping and guiding people, but there's still these emotional ties and bonds that is really interchanging with real estate sales. Um, because buying a house is such an emotional purchase. But I think building those relationships is really what I thrive on when it comes to sales in general, any type of sales really.
Yeah, like your favorite thing is the bond that you create with the person, which
Yeah.
is very important. Like, and what you said, you learn through real estate that it's an emotional situation for most of
Mhm.
people. And it does
Mhm.
make sense because most of the, when you're buying a house, the purchase usually requires a lot of money, or you have to ask for like a loan. So
Yeah.
it's a big responsibility. And when
Yeah.
you feel that you're taking a big responsibility, emotions are involved. Like there are things
Yeah.
that you feel when you're like, I'm gonna be responsible for what?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's
that
true.
part is when your emotions are like, yes, this is where you're gonna be responsible. Are you ready for this? And then
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can say yes or no, right?
Mhm.
See all the colors showing out. There are people that are happy to take responsibility, that type of responsibility. There are people that are like,
Yeah.
hell no, I want to run away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's very beautiful because it's really very similar to what I do. Like for me, creating the bond, right? And as a project manager, I create it with my clients. That was what gave me the fuel. Like
Yeah.
the
To
fuel
keep
was
going, right?
the relationship with the clients, right? Yes, I was building a building or a bridge or whatever I was building, which it was cool, but building the relationship with the client was something that really I liked it. It was my fuel.
Mhm.
And now for me, that bonding is like it's not just a relationship with a client and then I'm building a bridge or something for them. Now it's like
Yeah.
this is my job. My job is let's create a bond. So
Yeah.
I can share the tools that had helped me out so you can use them if you want to, and I'm sure that they will help you out and
Yeah.
walk you through. So, and that create even more bond because it's like, wow, I am not alone in this. There's somebody
Mm.
else that is going through something similar
Mhm.
and they understand me.
Yeah.
Which for you, you have buy houses before, and for you was easy to understand what they were going through.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, definitely. Even for me, buying and selling is an emotional process. Even if I say it's just about, I mean, investing, the numbers have to make sense, right? But but I've bought personal homes and sold my personal residences were different. Like where I was gonna live, the inspection process was a lot more interchanged with my emotions because, there's something wrong with that. My kids live here, it's different than, um, an investment property where you just get the contractor to come fix it and that's it. And and I think with a lot of the clients that I've met, I became, really close with because sometimes you're working with them, multiple hours a week for 6 months. So you really get to know, everything about them, their job, their family. And part of that investigative process when you first meet someone in sales is you need to figure out how to help them, right? What is it that they're looking for or trying to achieve? And I think that you can use that skill set across really any spectrum. But what would you, so obviously my career is changing and shifting as I've moved here to Texas. Through a process that I've worked with you, right? So over the course of, let's say, the last year, we've really focused a lot on, by your gracious extra hours of me calling you and be like, Anna, help me. But I think you've really helped me figure out, like, okay, what is the skill set in the job that I really like? You had me take a personality test, and that actually really made me understand a lot more about who I am, what I do, and why I'm so good at it, and how I can take that skill set and really apply it to any different field that I need to. And I mean, I've been to a lot of different therapists, and no therapist has ever given me that advice. But you really helped me discover a lot about myself in terms of like what is going to fulfill me and what is going to make me happy in a job. Because when you're a real estate agent, I think so much of who you are is your brand, right? Your business is your brand is you. And that can be very interchangeable. Your identity becomes merged, and that happened so quickly I didn't realize that. And so when I moved here to Texas, I kind of had to unmerge that identity in order to figure out really what fulfills me in a role, because if it's not real estate, what else will it be? And like learning, I was able to really discover that with you. Like, I mean, I remember one conversation specifically, we really went through like, you know, the characteristics, like what makes you happy in sales, what makes you happy out in the field, and I figured out like, okay, I don't love being behind a desk 10 hours a day. Like I really enjoy being out building relationships and being in the community with people. And also the analytical and financial parts of jobs. I actually really enjoy the data. I like to see how I can make it happen. And so when we went through those conversations, you asked me those questions, and I don't think anyone, I think you think about it in your head, but without you actually asking me, I don't know that I would have been able to like really articulate it, because then I went down and wrote it down. And I was like, okay. So I think you really helped me discover that, to be honest. And now I'm going to be in a role that I'm a lot more fulfilled in. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It is my pleasure, and thank you for those words and for the trust, because it really comes down to that. Like that, since we met, we create like we create a lot of trust between each other. And I think one of the main things is I like to hear people. I like to listen to people. I like to hear what they have to say, and usually what I do is I put myself in their shoes. So what happens if I'm there, right? One of the things that I do is that, and the next thing is I look if I have done something similar, or if I have went through something similar. Like, is this right? And with that, I can relate with the person faster. Like I can be like, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
This, and in that moment I did this. Or
Yeah.
if I don't know, I just share the emotions that I am like, yes, I remember I felt like this. So that helps to create that trust. Like it's not
Mhm.
that you're the only one that are going through a difficult moment. We all go through those difficult moments.
Right.
These days,
Yeah.
society is so used to like, yeah, you have to achieve, you have to become a like this successful person, and most of the things that you see is that like, oh yes, this person became this. Oh yes, I am a millionaire. Oh yes, I am nailing it in my business. It's cool, but in order to get there, what this person went through, because it's
Hmm.
not like it. You did. These people didn't get there just like smiling. Usually
Hmm.
there is a couple things that we work through in order to smile.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So
Um, I have a question for you. Before we kind of wrap up, what do you think? I guess like so we know you've gotten here, which I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy to see you kind of blossoming in this role that is like so fulfilling to you. Um, and I feel like it's home. I feel like it's home for you. I feel like this is where you should have always been from the first time I had a conversation with you. Like where do you see yourself? Like how do you I mean, you've helped me so much. I know you're helping some clients now. Like, how do you plan to, I guess, expand like this healing journey as you go?
yeah, well, that's great. And the what I am doing right now, like my mission right now, it's more into the one-on-one. So
Mhm.
I am doing sessions with different people, right? And yeah, it's just one-on-one. So part of what I do right now is it could be a specifically healing therapy that people are looking for. So
Mhm.
angels card reading or Reiki or Akashic records or angels healing, any of those therapies, I do it. And the
Yeah.
other thing that I'm doing is coaching 101, specifically people that are going through an eating disorder, because it's something that I went through and I have a
Yeah.
program for that, like a coaching program to help people to overcome an eating disorder, to heal.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's one thing. And the other thing that I'm doing is helping people, like a lot of people that know me, like you get to know me, and it was like helping either in professional or kind of relationships too. I get
Yeah.
people are calling me for relationships, and it's not like, hey, what I'm doing with my boyfriend. No, it's more about, hey, I'm going through this situation, and I guess because I have been through a divorce and I have been in like even the relationship that I am now. I'm very open about my relationship. Like I don't hide the good or the bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because of that, that also brings into me people that are like, hey, I'm going through this and this and this in a personal relationship. And it's like, oh, okay. And I'm able to coach them and help them out to, okay, what about if we work on this and this and this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So those are the things that I have right now. And where I'm going in the next year, which is a great question, is I'm creating right now, I'm in the process of creating a program, right?
Hmm.
So people can do it on their own if they want to. They just buy the program and they do it on their own.
Yeah.
Or the other thing is they can buy the program and I also be with them doing the like helping them out and being accountable for them.
Yeah. Like the sessions, right?
Yes. And
Um,
that's part of it. And the next thing that is coming is being in more podcasts. So putting myself
yeah.
on being podcasts and be able to share more like my experiences. So people,
Hmm.
um, yeah, people can feel. My main thing is I felt alone when I didn't know how to share. I
Hmm.
really felt alone, and because I felt like that, I suffer, and I suffer for a long time. So one of my main things is I am speaking up because I needed that, so I didn't feel alone, and I find out that there's a lot of people that are going through the same thing or similar stuff. So I was not alone in the
Yeah.
world. Like, oh, it's normal to have this problem. I'm not
Right. Right.
a weird, crazy person.
Yeah.
So podcasting is coming too. And then other thing that is on my plans is start writing my book. So
I
that
can't wait for that.
that's another thing that is coming. And eventually, I think by the end of next year, like I think in a year,
Yeah,
also other programs that I want to put, like that I am already thinking about putting out, is teaching people how to do Reiki themselves. Like
yeah,
Reiki, not me, not just coming to me so I do Reiki, but
yeah,
teach them so they can do it themselves.
yeah.
Want to work with that, perfect. Or the same thing, teaching card reading, teaching Akachi records. So those
Hmm.
are other programs that are coming. I am thinking that will be after next, like 2025 summer when I start.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm so excited for that. Is your book going to be on like your struggle with bulimia? Is that what it's going to be on, or is it going to be on like the magic of healing?
So it is. It's interesting that you asked me that because yes, one of the things that I'm gonna write on is the eating disorder, like all the
Hmm.
joys of the eating disorder for sure.
Hmm.
And at the same token, I think that I have like there's two ideas. So one is just writing a book all in bulimia and my story in the eating disorder, and the other one
Hmm.
would be more like a storytelling book of the
Yeah,
different like, experience that I have,
yeah,
in relationships, with food, in my profession, being an immigrant and into this country, because there is very different things.
yeah. That's a lot.
Right? So I kind of like I have right now that like because I do want to talk about uh different things. I think it will help anybody. Like,
Yeah.
right? So I'm kind of debating that. Either I do one that is just like the bulimia one and the eating
Hmm.
disorder, and
Yeah,
maybe then I do the other one, or I can put one and do like different stories,
yeah.
right? More
That'll
like
be good.
a biography, right?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, because I feel like you just have so much knowledge to talk about. Just the immigrant and immigrate, that all together brings such a different, unique perspective, I think. Um, just from like a work ethic, that alone, right? But I think,
Yeah, and
um,
there is different things there too. Like I am
yeah,
live next week with one of my best friends about
yeah,
this, about immigrating. Like she was
yeah,
like, let's do it this month. So we're gonna talk about immigrating and what it is. Like what was
yeah. Oh, that'll be fun. I'll watch that one.
yes, yes. That one is in Spanish, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Can
good
you do English subtext? Is it
let's
going to be on your Instagram? Is it going to be on the Magic of Healing Instagram?
yeah, it will be also.
Okay.
So that's one of the
Awesome.
another thing that I like is I am able to like a lot of people ask me, are you gonna do it in Spanish or English? Like what I'm doing, right? Like you gonna serve in Spanish or English? And one of my main things is like I want to be able to reach both, like Spanish and English. Like if I have both languages, why not to serve in both languages?
Yeah, yeah,
Right? Which is I think most of the people that have seen my Instagram is my phrase like the phrases that the phrase that I put is always in Spanish and in English.
yeah,
So people can see that. And I have either podcasts in Spanish and then I have with another person podcast in English, which is very similar topics, right?
yeah, yeah,
Because that's what one of my main things is I do want to reach more people. And
yeah,
I know these two languages, which English is my second language, but if
yeah,
I were to speak in both, why not to serve both, right? In both.
yeah, yeah. No, that's absolutely, totally. You should. I need to learn Spanish. Huh.
Uh, yeah, learning a language is another experience.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I feel that you have to emerge so you can learn it faster. Uh,
yeah. I took 3 years of it in college, 2 years of it in college. but
I have one more question for you.
mhm.
So, what has been your most challenging sales and why? Like client or deal?
Yeah. Um, so I had a client, I built really great rapport with them. They had a huge property on a lot of land. Um, and there's something called a contingent sale. So if you have to sell your current house in order to buy something new, it can be labeled as a contingent sale, meaning that if a buyer comes in, they can put an offer on your house, but they can't actually move in or close on your house until you as the owner find something suitable for yourself somewhere else.
Okay.
So there's a couple different ways you can structure a transaction like that. But ultimately, there's a lot of decisions that need to be made, and transparency is one of them. I was open and honest and transparent about what the risks were. Like, you have this house that you need to sell. You need the money from this house to buy something else. If you have no place to live in between, or you have no plan B, or this is going to stress you out extensively, I would recommend that you label it a contingent sale, which means it goes up into the MLS as a contingent, which sometimes can deter buyers from coming in. Only because if a buyer is coming in to purchase your house and they're on a strict timeline, like say they need to buy something and close on something in 45 days. In New York, it takes a little bit longer. A contingent sale may not work for them because this seller is probably going to need, usually you define the amount of time that you need, whether it's 45 or 60 days or 90 days for like the seller to go and find something else. But there's conversations that will be had about it. This specific seller was a great person. I think there was a lot of family or personal problems that was going on behind the scenes that obviously he didn't share with his realtor, which is fine. But I was reading in between the lines and I knew that some information was being left out. But if it's not, I mean, I'm only contractually obligated to my fiduciary duty to him, meaning that like, I will do the best that I can to sell the house in the way that we have a contractual agreement agreed upon and signed on. And in that case, I gave him all the risks. He chose not to make his house contingent. As soon as his house went under contract, he revealed to me he did not have a second place to live. So previously he said, I do have interim, I do have a plan B, we can stay here, we can stay there. I said, okay, like we can work through this. We can buy you some extra time. If you need more than 6 weeks, we can probably get you 8 or 10. But it stressed him out so bad. And I think it was a very stressful process for me. I mean, he was very emotional. He was very agitated. He would call and yell at me. And I knew like I was really empathetic to his situation in a sense because I knew he had some other things going on outside of the real estate transaction, but I was really genuinely there to help him and really genuinely there to guide him. And I think, it's not always easy being in sales. There's preconceived notions that people are greedy or in it for themselves or whatever. And, you can only get someone to trust you so much. Like they have to want to trust you, right? I don't think he wanted to trust me completely. So there was a lot, there was a trust issue, there was a communication issue, there was a transparency issue. And I learned a lot through this specific client. One, I went and bought a book after the transaction was over, and it was about the 4 types of personalities. the red, blues, green, and yellows. And I discovered he was a red, right? So he only wanted factual information right away. If he asked me a question, just give him the facts. That's it. He doesn't want explanations. He doesn't want a story behind it. He get frustrated. And so I found that this type of personality exists in a lot of other areas, especially in higher demanding sales with bigger price tags. But you'll find this type of personality in anywhere, in any establishment where you're selling something to someone. And now I can identify what type of personality people are a little bit quicker and try to pivot myself. And so in this case, what I would have done differently is I would have said, I really think you need to label your house as contingent. I would have been a lot more pushy. Which that's never how I gauge myself as a salesperson. I always try to lay the facts out and let them decide for themselves what's best for them, because we're all adults here, right? Yeah. But in this case, I probably would have said, hey, this is really what I think you need to do. You know, I would have really encouraged him far more than that, because I think when you're a red personality, you not only want just factual, quick information, but you also operate out of fear. And so when his house went under contract, he got very just fearful of everything. Where's he gonna live? Is he gonna find something? He went on to find 4 other houses that he put under contract and then pulled out of. I mean, he was just operating like, so I think this was one of the most difficult sales that I had, and also one of the best lessons I've learned in sales, because you really have to pivot to what is adaptable for your clients, and figuring out that there's a lot more under what they're just telling you. And so that personality book was really good. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it is true. When we, and it happens to me as well. I believe that the most challenging projects, clients, sales, situations in life, usually, if you won, are also the biggest one, like, are also giving you the biggest lessons, you know?
Yeah.
So you decide if you want to complain your entire life about it, like, oh yeah, I lost, I don't know, whatever, I lost my dog and blah 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 blah, and you complain about it, or why do you learn about that? Like,
Mm-hmm.
to close your front door every time that, like, if, right, like, I don't know, like, what do you learn? I
Yeah.
like to do that. I like to ask myself when it's challenging, when it feels challenging, what am I learning from this?
Yeah.
And that helps
Good.
the perspective change. It's like, ah, I'm learning something. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it definitely changes. Yeah, your perspective is, yeah, it definitely changes. For sure.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I really
Yeah.
appreciate your company and
Yeah.
information that you shared today. Thank you also for all the beautiful things that you said about me.
Oh,
I have
you're
enjoyed
one of my best friends, of course.
I have enjoyed our friendship as well. It's very, very nice to meet you and being with you, especially like we both moved to this city, not like, I think we were like a few months apart.
Yeah, I guess so. I always thought you were like 2 years here before me, but no, I think it was just like 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I move in October and you move in.
January, like December, January. Yeah.
You see? So it's a few months. It's like not that much.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
and we both have lived in New York. So there's a lot of similarities and things that we
Mm-hmm.
relate, like that we relate to and understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a beautiful journey and I love it. So thank you also for the advice, your trust, for being here for me as you have
Yeah.
been. So it's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.